Good afternoon, Eagles. Dr. Elize here, and welcome to our third edition of Meetup Mondays for myOn Reading. And this evening, it's pretty beautiful out here. And so instead of reading inside, I decided we're gonna have a reading picnic. And this morning I was speaking with a student by the name of Brittany, and I was asking her what did she think was a great book on myOn that she would like for me to read this evening. And so she chose the book titled A Day in the Life of a Nurse. And while we're reading, I have this nonfiction spinner. It's not much of a spinner because there's no spinner in the center, but there's questions on this nonfiction spinner that Miss Epps, our content area specialist, has provided to me as a resource. And so parents, if you're interested in acquiring a spinner as well for your home, just reach out to me and I'll make sure that I speak with Ms. Epps and we will provide you with a spinner so that way you can have this resource at home and question your students while you're reading a nonfiction text. So while we're reading, Eagles, we're going to be using this nonfiction spinner and answering questions. All right, you ready for this adventure? Here we go. So, a day in the life of a nurse. How do nurses start their shifts? Nurses have work to do before patients arrive. Nurse Alton begins the morning shift at the clinic. He gets patients' charts ready for the doctor. Alton also fills supplies in examination rooms. And looking at this fun fact, years ago, nursing was thought to be a woman's job. Now about 120,000 men work as nurses in the United States. So looking at Alton, who is a nurse, what is some important information here? So, what do nurses have to do before patients arrive? Take a minute, reread the text, and find your answer. What do nurses wear to work? Nurses wear uniforms called scrubs. Scrubs are comfortable shirts and pants. They help keep Alton from spreading germs. He also wears clean, comfortable clothes. Fun fact, female nurses used to wear stiffs, white caps, and white dresses. Now I'm going to reference this spinner and something new that I learned. Think about it. What have you learned from the first 2 pages so far? What do nurses do? Nurses care for patients. Alton welcomes patients as they come in from the waiting room. He asks Wendy how she hurt her hand. Nurses also keep records. Alton measures Wendy's height and weight. He writes the measurements on her chart. 9:30 in the morning. So, 9:30 in the morning, is that 9:30 a.m. or 9:30 p.m.? How do nurses help doctors? This is an important question. Nurses help doctors by getting information. Alton takes Wendy's pulse and blood pressure. He asks Wendy questions about how her hand feels. This information helps the doctor find out what is wrong with Wendy's hand. So let's go and reference the spinner. Does this text remind you of other texts that you have read? There's no Alton. Do nurses take breaks? Nurses take breaks for lunch. They eat in the clinic's break room. Alton has 30 minutes to eat and rest. He eats a salad and a sandwich. These foods help him stay healthy. A good meal gives Alton energy to care for patients. So just like a nurse, don't we need breaks as well? What tools do nurses use? So I know what tools students use. Students need pencils, they need paper, they need pens, they need rulers. They need so many different tools in order to help them to learn better. So let's read about what tools nurses use. Nurses use tools to check a patient's health. Alton uses an ear thermometer to measure Jerry's body temperature. Nurses use other tools. Alton listens to Jerry's heart and lungs with a stethoscope. He uses a blood pressure monitor to take Jerry's blood pressure. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Is it 1 o'clock a.m. or 1 o'clock p.m.? What skills do nurses need? Nurses use many skills. Nurses must like to help people. They help people stay healthy. Alton makes patients feel comfortable at the clinic. Think about the last time that you've been at the clinic. Wouldn't you want your nurse to make you feel comfortable? And if so, what are some things that the nurse needs to do to make you feel comfortable? Something to think about. Nurses also use reading and math skills. You hear that, boys and girls? So you mean to tell me that a nurse still needs to know how to read and use math? Alton reads bottles to pick out the right medicine. He uses math to measure how much medicine to give a patient. How do nurses end their shifts? So at the end of the school day, boys and girls, that's called pretty much a shift. So it's pretty much like dismissal time. So what are some things that you do in order to prepare to end your shift for dismissal? Let's read how a nurse does. Nurses have work to do at the end of their shifts. Alton finishes writing in patients' charts. He writes down the things he did to care for the patients. Alton remembers all of the people that he helped today. Fun fact, about 2 million people in the United States, boys and girls. Fun fact, about 2 million people in the United States work as nurses. The end. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this book. And if you're interested in completing and doing a summative assessment, go ahead and complete the review once you're done reading and take the quiz. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great evening, Eagles.